Samuel Lester wasn't your average waiter at the Grove. He had a gift, something that went beyond the usual skills of taking orders and serving food. Samuel made everyone feel welcome, regardless of who they were or what they wore. Whether a businessman in a suit or someone in worn-out jeans, Samuel's smile and easygoing nature made him a favorite among the regulars. He treated everyone with the same level of respect, believing that kindness and politeness didn't depend on a person's background or status. On a quiet Tuesday afternoon, the restaurant had a calm, almost peaceful atmosphere. The soft hum of jazz floated through the air while the staff went about their work, setting up tables and polishing glasses. Everything seemed to move in slow motion. It was in this rare moment of stillness that the doorbell chimed, and Samuel looked up to see a teenage boy step inside. The boy was flanked by two sharply dressed men in dark suits, definitely not the usual crowd at the Grove. Samuel's eyes narrowed slightly, recognizing the boy right away. It was Barron Trump, the son of the billionaire businessman. Samuel had seen the boy in the media, but he knew better than to treat him any differently than any other guest. It didn't matter who he was or who his father was. Barron was just another customer. Samuel walked up to the table, offering his trademark warm smile. "Welcome to the Grove. Table for one?" Barron nodded, glancing at the booth by the window. Without missing a beat, Samuel led him there, handing him a menu. "Take your time," he said kindly. Barron flipped through the menu quickly, then placed a simple order: a cheeseburger and a soda. No fuss, no special requests, just a straightforward choice. Samuel nodded and smiled politely. "Coming right up." As Samuel turned to head for the kitchen, his manager, Mr. Walter, appeared by his side, looking a little tense. "Do you know who that is?" Walter asked sharply. Samuel glanced back toward the booth where Barron sat. "No, should I?" Walter's voice dropped to a hiss. "That's Barron Trump. His father's—" "I know who his father is," Samuel replied calmly, cutting him off. Walter's expression shifted from tension to concern. "Then you understand the importance of this. This is delicate. Stick to the basics. No small talk. No unnecessary interactions. Don't make us look bad." Samuel's patience was tested, but he simply nodded, masking his frustration. He had never been one to care much for status or privilege. What mattered was how you treated people. The rest of the meal passed quietly. Barron seemed to appreciate the quiet, and Samuel made sure to keep his interactions brief and respectful, just as he would for any guest. When it was time to leave, something caught Samuel's eye. Barron's wallet was lying on the booth seat, forgotten in the rush to leave. Without hesitation, Samuel called out, "Excuse me, you forgot this." Barron looked up, surprised. Samuel handed him the wallet with a simple, "Here you go." Barron blinked, then smiled. "Thanks," he said quietly before walking out. Samuel returned to his other tables, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Mr. Walter was watching him, displeased. That night, as the restaurant emptied and the evening quieted, Samuel's phone buzzed with a call from Walter. "You're fired," Walter said bluntly. There was no sympathy in his voice. Samuel blinked in confusion. "What? Why?" Walter's voice turned cold. "You broke protocol. You could have jeopardized our reputation by interacting with that boy. Do you realize what you've done?" Samuel's mind raced, trying to process what was happening. He had simply done what anyone else would have done. He had returned a lost wallet, but it didn't matter. He was out of a job. That night, Samuel sat at home in his quiet apartment. The weight of the injustice pressed heavily on his chest. The following morning, he sat in front of his laptop staring at job listings. No matter how much he searched, nothing felt right. Years of his life at the Grove had just ended, all for a small act of kindness. Just as Samuel was about to close his laptop, his phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. He answered it, expecting a telemarketer. "Hello, is this Samuel Lester?" a deep voice asked. "Yes, this is him. Who's calling?" Samuel replied. "This is Donald Trump," came the answer. Samuel froze. For a moment, he thought it was a prank. Mr. Trump?" he stammered. "Yes, Mr. Trump," the voice replied. "My son, Barron, told me what happened yesterday at the Grove. He said you helped him when he left his wallet behind. I wanted to thank you personally." Samuel was stunned. "It wasn't a big deal, sir. Anyone would have done the same." "Well, apparently not. Trump said. And I heard your manager fired you for it. That's unacceptable. Samuel was speechless. What was going on? I don't tolerate people being punished for doing the right thing, Trump continued. You seem like a good man, Samuel. Here's what I'm going to do. I have a position for you at one of my properties. Name the role you want and we'll make it happen. Samuel was in shock, his mind racing. I don't know what to say. Trump's voice was firm but kind. Say yes, Samuel. My assistant will reach out to you with the details. Before Samuel could respond, the line went dead. He sat there, staring at his phone in disbelief. Could this really be happening? A few days later, Samuel walked into the Trump International Hotel, a world away from the restaurant he'd known. The hotel towered over the streets, its sleek modern design a far cry from the cozy, familiar atmosphere of the Grove. He adjusted his tie nervously as he entered through the revolving doors. A receptionist greeted him warmly. Mr. Lester, welcome. Mr. Trump has arranged a meeting with our executive team. Please follow me. Inside, he was led to a conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows. There, a group of well-dressed professionals introduced themselves and asked him about his background, skills, and goals. By the end of the meeting, they had offered Samuel a managerial position in guest relations. The salary was far more than he had ever imagined, and the responsibilities were beyond anything he had dreamed of. The next few weeks flew by as Samuel dove into his new job. He quickly earned the respect of the staff and the appreciation of the guests. For the first time in a long time, he felt valued and important. Months passed, and Samuel's life took on a rhythm he never thought possible. Then, one evening, he received an invitation to a dinner with the Trump family, a gesture he never saw coming. Seated in a private dining room, Samuel felt a mix of nervousness and gratitude. Barron greeted him warmly. "Thank you," he said. "You didn't have to help me that day, but you did. My dad says people like you are rare." Donald Trump raised his glass, his voice loud and proud. Samuel Lester is a man who reminds us all that kindness is never wasted. The room erupted in applause, but Samuel's smile remained quiet and sincere. In that moment, he realized how one simple act of helping someone, one small, forgotten wallet, had changed his entire life. And just like that, Samuel's world had turned around, proving that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can lead to the biggest changes.